Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad that you're here. Today I'm doing an original tag called the Sod's Law tag. This is a tag that was created by Duncan at Back Away from the Donkey, and Duncan tagged Gavin at Genre Books, and Gavin tagged me. Now, in Gavin's video, he said, Duncan tagged me in his new original tag. Wikipedia says Sod's Law, a British culture axiom, states that if something can go wrong, it will. The law sometimes has a corollary, that the misfortune will happen at the worst possible time. And that's Finagle's law. The term is commonly used in the United Kingdom, while in many parts of North America, the phrase Murphy's Law is more popular. Well, I'm certainly familiar with Murphy's Law. I don't think I had ever heard of Sod's Law before this tag. So thank you, Duncan, for creating this tag, and thank you, Gavin, for tagging me. Prompt number 1. The video you spend the most time on and are most proud of is likely to get the least views. Name that video. Well, I couldn't find one particular video. I would say that basically all of my poetry videos tend to fit into this category. A lot of preparation goes into those, and they get the lowest views of anything that I have put up on the channel. So I would say the whole playlist of my Poetry Thursday videos are sadly very time consuming to make, and they don't get a lot of views. Number 2, the video that you had the most disasters putting together. Well, just recently I did a weekly wrap-up. I recorded the whole thing and the video just disappeared. When I went to upload it, it was blank. There was nothing there. And I was so frustrated, I was ready to just bag the whole thing, but I did it again, and I did it much faster than I had done it the last time, the time that I lost it, and I left a bunch of stuff out, but I was just getting sick of myself. So, and this just happened, I think, last week. Number 3, in opposite to prompt 1, the video you threw together off the cuff with minimal work is the one that gets the most views. Name that video. I couldn't find that one either. I mean, I know which ones of my videos have the most views, but they're not things that I've thrown together. I don't tend to throw together my videos. I mean, there are some that have gotten way more views than others, and I don't understand why, except that there's something about the algorithm and something about using numbers in titles and making lists. Those tend to do well, but it's not like I spend more or less time on any of those. I kind of don't throw things together. There's a lot of, I just haven't figured out yet how to wing it. So I don't know, but I don't know why things with numbers do so much better than other things. It's not like it just doesn't make sense to me. Number 4, don't believe the hype. The book you were really excited for and looking forward to that was a letdown for you. Well, I don't know if I would say a letdown, but I tend to read everything that Louise Erdrich writes, and her last book that came out, I think this came out, I think it was in the fall, The Mighty Red. I mean, I wouldn't call it a disappointment, but it wasn't as good, in my opinion, as the last 2 before this. And, I was really looking forward to this. A couple of other people that I know who really love her were also looking forward to it, and we were all just kind of like, meh. It was not a bad book, but it was not it didn't compare in my eyes to the last two that I had read. Number 5, the book you're excited to read, but every time you try to read it, something happens and you end up reading something else instead. I don't know about, trying to read it and not being able to, but I really, really loved the Sherlock Holmes reading event that we had a couple of months ago. And I had read a very little bit of Sherlock Holmes a long time ago, but I was having such a wonderful time reading. I read one novel and I read a bunch of short stories, and then I have this beautiful edition of all of the novels, and it's something that I really want to read more of. And I think about it because I had such a great time with the Sherlock Holmes, Holmes is Where the Heart Is reading event. But I don't pick it up. And I think it's just because I have so many other things that are going on, but it's always like in the back of my mind, read another Sherlock Holmes. So I definitely will. But right now that's something that, other things keep getting in the way. Number 6, a booktube event you keep meaning to participate in, but events mean you never do. Well, this year I said that I wanted to participate in Historathon, and that should be something that I can do easily, because you basically are supposed to pick a book that relates to each particular quarter. And I did quarter 1, and I felt really good about that, that I read about ancient Rome, and then I dropped the ball and I didn't do anything for quarter 2, even though I have things picked out that I want to read. Now I know that quarter 2 is, I think, not over yet, right? We're still in, I guess this is the last month of quarter 2, so there is technically still time, but I don't think it's going to happen, and I feel terrible about that. Maybe I can pick it up in quarter 3. It's not like, there's a Historathon police who are, watching whether I participate or not. It's just something I wanted to do. Number 7, a book you've ended up with multiple copies because you didn't think you had it. So in other words, you bought a book that you didn't know you already had. I don't have any that I bought by accident, but I have a lot of books that I have multiple copies of. Certainly anything that I taught, I would tend to have a lot of copies of. I always have the one with all of my notes in it that's falling apart, but I usually have a newer, cleaner copy, but I can't bring myself to put the notes in the newer, cleaner copy. So there are a bunch of those. I have many copies of Frankenstein, but that's not by accident. That is very much on purpose. I have a number of copies of Dracula, also on purpose, different editions. But some of the things that I taught, I have multiple copies, either because one's got my notes in it, one is a copy that I, brought home from school. One might be one that I had from a million years ago when I was in college. Ones that come to mind, the color purple, I've got a bunch of those. I've got several copies of The Awakening, and actually they're all the same edition. They just, only one has my notes in it. Their Eyes Were Watching God. I have multiple copies of that. A bunch of the Folger Shakespeare plays. I have several different copies of those. So basically books that I taught. Number 8. The video you have been trying to get together for the longest time that you just never get around to because of events. It's not so much a video, it's just a series that I've been working on that I was really working at very diligently for the first couple of months, and that I was doing this particular series, and I seem to have stalled. And this is my series on books that I loved to teach. I think I have a playlist for that. I think I have 15 episodes in there, which is, a decent number of videos, but I've just stalled, and everything else that I'm doing has, I can't say it's gotten in the way. I let things get in the way, but I do feel bad about that because I know that people do enjoy those episodes, and I enjoy doing them. I enjoy putting them together, and I feel like I've dropped the ball on that. I mean, I can certainly come back to that at any time, but that's something that comes to mind. And number 9, a book you keep trying to buy but is never around, or other things thwart your ability to buy it. The book that I keep going to, that I keep picking up in bookstores and putting down again, is The New Yorker, 100 Years of Poetry. It's a big, beautiful, hardcover book of 100 years of poetry from the New Yorker magazine, and I can't tell you how many times I've picked it up. I've walked around bookstores with it, I've sat down in bookstores with it, and I put it back on the shelf. It's very expensive, and I'm hoping to be able to get it at a less expensive price, because mostly I just can't justify spending what that book costs. But it is a book that, I've been reading The New Yorker forever. I certainly read plenty of poetry, and I collect lots of poetry books. There's no reason for me not to get this one, except that it's sort of outrageously expensive. Okay, and then finally tag some others. So this was fun. Things that get in the way, that make video making or participating in events difficult. And usually most of these are things I make difficult for myself. But if you're watching this and you'd like to jump in, please consider yourself tagged. And then, as I always do, I'm going to tag some people in the notes below. So, as always, I thank you for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.